In this video, I'm going to outline what I believe the actual questions are going to be for the Police Service of Northern Ireland Sergeant to Inspector process. This is 27 minutes. That's all the board is, 27 minutes that's going to determine your future career. If you don't pass this board, you are already aware that you've got to start all over again. You've got to do the inspector's exam again. You've got to put yourself in a promotion process again, and it might be years before that happens. This is a competition. There's nothing like it in the United Kingdom. This is the only promotion process that actually is a real life competition. So pin your ears back, folks. In a moment, I'm going to tell you what I believe the actual questions are going to be. But first of all, why should you trust me? Why should you listen to me? My name is Brendan from Blue Light. And over the past 31 years now, I've been helping to support people just like you to succeed in promotion boards, specialist interviews, and in the police recruitment process. I've got a background in policing. I retired as an inspector. I did 3 decades in 3 different forces. I spent some time with what's now the College of Policing, developing my skills in adult education, in assessment, in evaluation, in personnel evaluation standards. This thing that you're being assessed against is something I worked on over 20 years ago, although we never intended that it should be anything like as complicated as this. So this is the competency and values framework for policing, and to determine what the 5 questions are going to be, just 5 questions. You've got 1 7-minute question and you've got 4 5-minute questions. They're going to be really strict on time. 26 minutes that's going to determine your future. So what I've done is I've taken this and my knowledge of how this works. I've mapped it out against the Police Service of Northern Ireland vision for the future with things like engagement, hallmarks of neighbourhood policing, the serious and organised crime strategy, crime prevention strategy, and all of what's in those strands for each one of those strategies, mapped them out against the values and the competencies that you're going to be assessed against. And based on my 31 years of experience of doing this, of helping people just like you, helping hundreds and thousands of people just like you, I've come up with what I believe the questions are going to be. This is your starting point. This is your starting point. Does that make sense so far? Awesome. All right, shall we start? So the first thing that we've got to get over is our friend, the Wheel of Confusion. And by the way, if you're looking at this thinking, this is the 2016 version, yes, it is. For some reason, the Police Service of Northern Ireland has decided that for the promotion process, you're going to get assessed against the 2016 version, not the 2024 version. If you're in the recruitment process, it's the 2024 version. Yeah, I know, really confusing, but I get this. The Wheel of Confusion, it's what I love. I love this stuff. So let's dive in, shall we? First of all, we are emotionally aware. So a couple of different questions I think you might get asked here. So prepare for these 3 questions. The first one, what have you done to create a culture that aligns with PSNI vision? So quite an open question. What have you done in the past to create a culture on your team that aligns with the PSNI vision? Now, you're already a sergeant, so you should be doing this already. And so I want some, not just sergeant level detail, though, I want inspector level detail. Or we can realign that question into a forward-facing one, which would be, how in the future as an inspector will you ensure a culture that aligns with what the PSNI vision is trying to achieve? So those are 2 very possible questions. Or they might just quite simply ask you, so why you and why now? You know, what's motivating you to want to be an inspector in the Police Service of Northern Ireland? So we are emotionally aware, and those questions map out perfectly against the level 2 behaviours for that competency. Moving to, we are collaborative, where I believe the questions, because of the hallmarks of neighbourhood policing and the emphasis on engagement and building up trust and confidence in the communities, I think it's highly likely that you're going to get a question around what have you done in the past to enable and develop partnerships and collaborative approaches, not just with partner agencies, but with community members and organisations within the community. Now that can be spun around into a forward-facing question, which is, how in the future as an inspector will you develop and enable strong relationships with partner organisations and with organisations and individuals within the communities that we serve. So 2 possible questions there. What I'm trying to do is give you a rear-facing one and a forward-facing one so you can prepare for both. By the way, let me know in the comments if you believe that these are the sort of questions that might crop up, or whether you think I'm completely off track. I'd really like to know. So the next question I'm going to provide for you is around integrity. So what have you done in the past as a sergeant to enable a culture where officers feel comfortable in challenging, questioning and reporting behaviour which is unwelcome, inappropriate and not what the communities of Northern Ireland expect from their police officers? Or it could be just something about forward facing again. So we just spin the question around. You've noticed a theme here. So how in the future as an inspector will you enable a culture where officers feel comfortable in challenging, in questioning and reporting inappropriate behaviour? Now, this isn't about everyone going back to the old days of, yo, you can't say that, I need to stop you there, you can't say that, and making almost a big joke out of it. This is something we've discussed in our academy, actually, just the other evening. The academy program, by the way, is where we support people through one-to-ones, small group webinars, a ton of online material, record like 4 or 5 years worth of recordings of webinars. We hold them every week. This is where we practice with our promotion candidates, our promotion clients, to prepare them for the board. So they're not just ready for the board, but it's almost like this pledge. They're going to make this pledge to the service that when you promote me to sergeant, or when you promote me to inspector, this is what you're going to get. So it's almost like your opportunity to pledge to the service, this is what they're going to get. And we were talking about how the culture, an enabling culture where people feel comfortable challenging and dealing with inappropriate behaviour, is one of the toughest things you're going to do. Because what came out of it is that hardly any PCs feel confident in challenging behaviour. Even if they did feel confident, they may not want to. They may not be motivated to do so for a variety of different reasons. But it's the how-to that was the thing, because most officers receive zero instruction or training on how to actually challenge inappropriate behaviour, despite the fact that it's the very one thing that's trashing the reputation of the UK police service. There's not a day that goes by without a newspaper article about some officer raping someone, stealing from them, or some other heinous crime, or misconduct, a series of gross misconduct matters which you just think, what on earth was going through their head? But there's not a day that goes by without me seeing that in the press. And so this is slowly hammering away at the trust that communities have in the police service. And that's why I'm absolutely convinced that you're going to get a question around that. Not just about what have you done in the past to challenge behaviour, but around culture. Culture. Does that make sense? Awesome. All right, next one. We take ownership. Again, I think this is going to go to working alongside partner agencies and members of the community. But something about in the past, what have you done to create a culture of ownership where officers feel comfortable making difficult decisions, where they feel comfortable making improvements to what they do, and where they take personal responsibility for their actions? I would link all of this again to the vision and pick an example that has something to do with communities, because that's where the service is going. These were the top things in the vision. So these are the big priorities for the force, as you should well know if you're a sergeant in PSNI. Moving that into a forward-facing question, how in the future as an inspector will you develop and enable a culture of ownership where your officers, your sergeants and your constables feel comfortable making difficult decisions, feel comfortable making improvements to processes and systems, and where they take personal responsibility for doing so and feel comfortable being accountable for those actions? Now, the question might not be as long as that, but those are the things I would include in my answer. It might just be, how in the future will you, as an inspector, will you enable a culture of ownership? That's it, full stop, question mark. But I'd like you to include all of those things in them because they link in with the behaviours which are outlined in the We Take Ownership competency. So the last one, public service. Oh, by the way, you might be thinking as well about this academy thing. If you're thinking, oh, I like the sound of that, I'd like to guarantee the result, because that's what we actually do. We do guarantee the result. If you don't pass, we've got a money return guarantee. So if you don't pass your board, you're in for a refund. I mean, does that sound fair? We're going to work so hard to ensure that you're successful that if you don't succeed, you're going to get a refund. Check the link below. It involves having a conversation with us, complete a form. We'll ask you questions about where you are now, where do you want to be, what you're struggling with, and then we'll meet up with you. 45 minutes to an hour long call. There's absolutely no commitment. There's no fee to join us on that call. And we'll explore whether you might be a good fit for the academy, and you can explore whether you feel we're a good fit for you, because you're going to spend your hard-earned cash on all the one-to-ones, the small group webinars, the intense program that we put you through. It's got to work both ways. Does that make sense? It's got to work both ways. And there are times actually when we do say to people, it doesn't really matter whether you've got your credit card in your hand and you're willing to pay, it's just not a good fit. And if it's just not a good fit, we will point you in the right direction. We'll give you some value, clarity, we'll give you some things to do. But if it's not a good fit for you, then we're not going to try and force it. We're not going to try and force it. So there's no pressure there. No pressure there. And besides which, we only have a small team of coaches, and genuinely, they are really busy already. We're actually looking, if you go to my LinkedIn profile, you see that we're recruiting more coaches. That's how busy we are. All right, last question. Public service. Again, this is going to be all around communities. So what have you done in the past to adapt your approach or style of leadership to meet the needs and concerns of the communities we serve? So what have you done in the past to adapt your approach or style of leadership to meet the needs and concerns of the communities we serve? Forward face it. How, as an inspector in the future, will you enable an approach and a style of leadership that enables your officers, your sergeants and constables to meet the needs and concerns of communities? Again, I'm adding that bit about needs and concerns of communities because, of course, it's your leadership that's going to enable your officers to continue to meet the needs and concerns of the communities that you're a part of. And it's that sense of, what I'd like to think about here is this sense of the extent to which we are a part of the community versus being apart from the community. Whereabouts on that continuum would you say we are? A part of the community versus apart from the community. And if there's a big jump to get to a part of the community, what are you going to do to enable that jump? What are you going to do to make sure that happens? So there you go, folks. Those are my 5 predictions. Please do let me know what you think of them. Please do let me know if you'd like to join our academy program and work with myself, my colleagues. Together we've got over 250 years worth of management experience. We have an individual in our team who is a recently retired, highly decorated, highly thought of, awesome coach and mentor from the Police Service of Northern Ireland. So we've got so much experience there for you that's going to enable your success. Hope you found these questions of interest. Like I said, it's just 27 minutes that's going to change the course of your career. Fail this, you're back to the starting point. I just don't get it. Do you get it? I've never seen a promotion process like it, but it is what it is. It's a competition. Let's make sure that you're the one that wins it. And I'll catch up with you soon. Bye-bye for now.